Well, hold on one second. All right. Well, it looks like something happened to my live stream on YouTube. And when I thought that I was live streaming YouTube earlier for our live stream, which was supposed to happen at 12 o'clock, it actually did not happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through what I went through for the live stream on Amazon, which did go through. So normally I multi-stream and we, kind of hit two birds with one stone, but today I'm doing double duty. So this YouTube live stream is going to be shorter because I've already pretty much gone over this stuff, and I'm going to truncate some of the stuff that I was doing earlier. So let's, so for those of you who actually missed that, we had some technical difficulties earlier. My chat for YouTube kind of went wonky, and then the Amazon Live went wonky, and then that just cut out. I don't know why. It just cut out. Told me that I violated their policy for having pre-recorded content on live as I'm live streaming. I'm just kind of like, I don't even know what was going on. So I had to restart everything. I restarted something, went ahead, and I then live streamed to Amazon, thinking that I was also live streaming on YouTube. Apparently, I wasn't live streaming on YouTube. That entire time, I was only live streaming to Amazon, so it wasn't a multi-stream. So, hey, what can you do, right? Sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. It could be worse. So this is starting like 2 hours later than what it was supposed to start, not by my choice, because I thought I already was recording, but apparently I wasn't. This live stream thing, I'm still getting used to it. All right, so today we're supposed to be covering City of Mist. And let me go ahead and let you see what I'm talking about. This is the City of Mist box for the core set, right? So right here, you have, this is the core set. Now it's empty right now because I just got done doing a live stream on this. So, but this is the box that it comes in. I messed this thing up too. You see that right there? I dropped that bad boy. You see that? I messed it up. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go over the same things that I went over before in the Amazon live stream, which is now done. And we're just going to go over this core set. Now, I want to preface this because I have to kind of temper what I say when I multi-stream to Amazon, just because it's Amazon and they still do things in the silliest and stupidest of ways. One of which is you can only stream through your mobile device. I don't know who the genius was that thought of that, but so I have to go here and have two different devices, one on over here, separate chat over here, and I've tried to set it up to where it's coming through here, but apparently, I don't know, it doesn't want to do that. So it is what it is. So if you are here at the moment, and you're hearing me live stream, there's going to be a little bit of a delay, but okay, so I guess I do have some people that's out there. I just saw somebody come up in the chat here. So what's up? The old chat. I don't know if the old chat is still around. I'm so lost today. I don't even know what's going on. I have no idea what's going on. My wife just came down and she was like, hey, you want to go for a walk with the dog? I was like, oh, I got some other stuff to do, right? And then I was like, I went over to my main computer to look, you know, to check the live stream for YouTube. And I was like, wait a minute, did this not record? And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. This didn't record? Ah. So now here I am. And we're gonna do this, and this will probably be kind of more of a shorter live stream, right? But you guys know who come to the channel on a regular basis, I don't do videos longer than 20 minutes when I actually create and edit videos. But live stream is gonna be a little bit longer than that, right? And today, as we go over this core set and a little bit extra, we'll be able to go longer, because my live streams will be longer, and then I can just come. And YouTube has yet to kick me off for something silly like Amazon has. They kicked me off the first time because of, I thought it was something that I said about my wife, and it wasn't. It was because there was a label on the box that I had. I think I was doing an unboxing, a live unboxing or something like that. And so later on, I was talking to them, and they were like, no labels. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's a barcode. it's a stinking barcode. What? And they were like, nope, no labels. And then they'll kill your live stream if you have any labels on anything. And I was just like, oh, come on, son. Whatever, dude. So I had to redo that. And so I'm still getting used to live streaming, as you can see, apparently. But so thank you so much for your patience in this. And as I said, this is like I started on time. Everything went wonky. Everything just went buck wild. My chat was gone. My YouTube chat just got, you know, I was trying to sign in and do all this other crazy stuff and whatever, and that didn't work. And then they kicked me off of Amazon because apparently they said that I was doing pre-recorded content. I'm looking at the phone going, what is going on? And so I couldn't get that back. And so it was just technical stuff, y'all. But I think that since I'm just focused on YouTube right now, we are going to be in the house and we're going to be good to go. So let's go ahead and take a look first at the player's book for City of Mist. So you guys missed the actual unwrapping of the other two things that I have because it was the first time that I unwrapped it. So you have to go to my Amazon page to see that, where I unwrapped two of these, but it wasn't this one. Now this here is the core book for City of Mist. It's the player's guide, and it's 300, I think, and 7 pages, matte finish with semi-glossy pages on the inside, y'all. And I love the way it looks, and I love the art style. So you got this comic book cut scenes in the book, right? So reading those actually, I mean, it's not just entertainment. It's leaning in towards how this game works. And I think my light just lost all of its juice, which isn't bad. So that's why you got this dark area over here. Don't sweat it though. It's been one of those days, so it is what it is. It's just been one of those days. I actually could. Is this too bad for you guys? So let me know. Is this dark place too bad for you guys? I can go ahead and just hook it up. Actually, let me go ahead and hook it up. I can go ahead and hook this up real quick because it bothers me. So let's get you some light here. All right. Because it just bothers me. It's that little dark area right there bothers me. So I'm going to have to charge this up because it's been running the whole time. And I forgot this thing was charged. Okay, I'm going to put that down to 30%. We'll put it like that. And there we go. All right, so that's better. Let's get back to brass tacks here. There you go. See that? It's just better. You know, you get some light over here or whatever. But I just like the way that it has these like cut scenes in the book in comic book form with different panels and stuff. And I just love the art style. Who did this art? I'm going to actually look and see who did this art. I got a lot more freedom when I'm not doing the Amazon at the same time. Lead artist, it looks like Marcin Sobon. Man, just this art is killer, dude. It really is. And I think he did most of the art. That's what it looks like. It says lead location artist and cartographer. Okay, with somebody else, but man, I love the art. I really do. this stuff here. I love this stuff. And like I said, if you read this stuff, you get an idea. I haven't read that part though. I'm going to have to read that. So let me give you the rundown on City of Mist. This is I think most people look at it as a superhero game, and you can run it as such, but it's not a superhero game. Like, it's not a straight superhero game. It's far from that. Like, far from that. Some people like to run it like that, but it could be whatever type of game that you want it to be. And I'm just being honest there. It does have a certain vibe, and we'll go through how it has a certain vibe on stuff. But really, I just wouldn't call this a straight, it's not a straight superhero game. It just isn't. But what I would call this is a game for RPG elites. This is not your average game. Not at all. Doesn't even come close. And we're going to look at that as we go through. It's not your average tabletop RPG. We'll see this in a second. So here's the deal when it comes to this. So you have and I'm doing all this off the top of the mind just to kind of give you a summary. So basically, you as a players, you're in this city. So there's the city in City of Mist. So you're in this city, and nobody ever leaves the city because nobody ever feels the need to leave the city. And everything happens within this city. Okay, now, my chat is actually working now. Okay, well, let me see what you guys got. Well, yeah, I got to stream to Amazon because I got a different page over there, and this is for you, Ultra. I have a different page over there and all the rest of that, and they've been crazy. And, but there's a reason why I stream over there. Say I joined and the light broke. Sorry. The light broke. Different from Sentinel Comics. Very different. This is different from most tabletop RPGs. Again, we're getting ready to go through this in a second. It sounds like a type of game like Dark Conspiracy. No, not really. Though you could, I guess if you wanted to run it that way, you could, but not really. Not really. Here's the basic premise. Basic premise of the game. You are what's called a rift. Okay? And a rift is someone that a mythos works through. Now, what's a mythos? A mythos is a fiction or non-fiction character, living or alive, mostly dead or not around anymore. And they work, but their essence, I think that's the best way to describe it, works through you. And you can do some kind of supernatural things. And when other people in the city see these supernatural things, they explain them away. A great way of saying this is, you remember back in the day, there used to be a lot of weather balloons. People would be like, no, it's a UFO. And it'd be like, nah, it's weather balloons. And a lot of weather balloons. And so they explain it away with a weather balloon or swamp gas or whatever else. They explain it away with whatever. Okay. That is the same thing that happens in the city when they see these rifts doing these extraordinary things. They're like, well, we explain this away. We didn't really see that, or, play a Jedi mind check on themselves or whatever. But really what it is the mist, which kind of keeps a veil over actually what's going on. Hence the name of the game, City of Mist. Now, that is so basic. That's just the basic understanding of this. So these, and for example, they use an example in the game, but I'm not going to use them. Let me go ahead with the one that we're going to do. So I have a kind of some gameplay for City of Mist that I'm working on with a couple other guys, where we're going to be running the Mythic Game Master emulator. So it's going to be GM-less, and we are going to be running it through that. And we all made our characters, and all of our characters have different mythoi that we work through. So one character, whose name is Nathaniel Duval, his mythoi is, or mythos, I guess it's a mythoi, mythos, I forgot how you say it. His is Achilles. The other one, which is Carson Barreau, I think is how you say his last name, his is Jack the Ripper. And my character's is Moses. And so we all are what's called borderliners in the game. So we have what's 2 mythos and 2 logos. I'll go through that in a second, so I'm not losing you, so hang on there. And these are the characters that work through us. So our abilities and things like that, when it comes to our mythos themes and things like that, are related to those mythoi. Right? Now, some of those people aren't myths, right? Like Jack the Ripper and Moses, they're not, those are real people. So you can choose whoever you want to, and then that'll give you a sense of what your abilities will be. Though they don't have to strictly be that. They can be a play on that character, but it's mostly that they are the theme for your abilities. So that's how that works. Okay, what's going on? Rat, what's going on? Michael, what's going on? Wild Man, what's going on? Kevin. Okay, so we've got some people in the house here. Good. Okay, so let's keep going. All right, so that's the mythoi. All right. And like I say, the mist kind of veils all of this supernatural stuff going on in the city. It says it right here. So it says the mist hides and distracts. Okay, that's one. The mist provides excuses and twists perceptions. Remember I was telling you about they come up with some way to explain it away? That's the mist that's doing that. The mist makes you forget. Yeah, sometimes people just don't remember what just happened. Just like I said, play Jedi mind trick on themselves. The mist exploits the things dearest to you. Ooh. All right, so that is how you can think of the mist when it comes to these extraordinary people who live in this city. So let's move through here. And again, love the art, digging the art on this. You have the city, and you have different areas of the city, right? So you have your downtown, your blue-collar residential, your old quarter, the industrial zone. And this doesn't have to be an imaginary city. It could be a real city. We'll get to that in a second. But it could happen in a real city. But you remember when I said that the city is the place? Nobody ever leaves the city? This is where it talks about that. So let me just read this first paragraph so you guys get what they're talking about. Here it says, one of the premises of the City of Mist is that the lead characters never leave the city. Whether other people actually leave the city is another open-ended question. Everyone seems to think that coming and going is something normal that happens all the time. Tourists, business people, and strange country folks show up and disappear regularly. The city residents behave as though they are part of something greater, like a country or a world. But whenever it actually comes down to acknowledging it, the story veers off conveniently. So it may be that other people might leave the city, or it may be that nobody ever leaves the city and it's just stuff that's made up, and it could be because of the mist. They just think that that's what it is. because the mist does all the rest of that weird stuff to everybody else's mind. It could be like that. You can make it whatever you want it to be, but that gives you an idea. And here again, we've got another cut scene. Now, here it gives you character creation. I'm not going to go through character creation, but I am going to kind of do a couple of things. You know, we'll highlight a couple of things in terms of your character, just things that you would know and why this game is different from other games. That's why that thumbnail that says it's not your average game. I don't make thumbnails like that and then not deliver. This is not your average game. Oh, it is far not your average game. All right, so the first thing you're going to do is your series concept. It says series, it's campaign. So basically, what is this about? Are you guys casual detectives? That's the first one that it has here. Are you guys company men, you know, working for some big organization? Are you conspiracy busters? It's like I'm saying, okay, maybe they discover something's going on in the city. Something is wrong, you know, and maybe they're trying to get to the bottom of the mist. So they're kind of these conspiracy busters. Or maybe they're dabblers in the mist. So it's more kind of a, you know, supernatural type of thing, right? The event. Now, this is the one that we chose, the three of us chose when we were looking through all of these. We were like, the event. So let me read through this so you guys understand what all of these are. So it says, after it happened, you were never the same again. Sleepless nights, working overtime, and indulging in all kinds of distractions didn't work for any of you. Flashbacks still haunt you of that day. Blurry memories. You couldn't leave it behind. You wanted to know, to understand, to find a solution or a way out. And so you decided to get to the bottom of it. And soon, you found out that there were others like you. Others who have been there too. And they too are looking for answers. And together, you have a better chance of finding out what happened and put an end to this permanently. Now, in your situation, you may not want to put an end to it. You just want to find out, you know, probably in the process, you might think maybe this isn't all that bad being this way, but some people may want to put an end to it permanently. So the series focus is if something happened, some event happened. With us, we are missing 3 days of our lives. And none of us understand what happened in those 3 days. And so we're trying to find out. But at the same time, we're working together on other things that happen to us individually. And so we'll help out with something that's happened, like, you know, something's happened to Carson, or something's happening to Nathaniel, or something's happened to Maury. Then everybody will work on that at the moment, and then they'll come back to the main premise, which is finding out what happened during those missing 3 days. Because it was within those missing 3 days that we came back changed, different. So that's what the event is. Then you have the gang. You know, maybe you just run with a certain crew. You have mass vigilante investigations. Okay, well, there you go right there. You have modern gods. That's where you can get into the superhero type of stuff, if you want to. But City of Mist is kind of more of a gritty thing with supernatural aspects to it. Okay, hold on. The mundanes explain away the supernatural in the name of consensual realities. Oh, man. Or you are all dead and trapped in limbo. It could be anything that you want it to be in terms of the mist. Yeah, that can be anything you want it to be. In terms of the mist and what it does and all the rest of that stuff, you can even expand on it even further. The mist. Okay, so you guys are talking about World of Darkness, okay. All right, so you guys are talking about that. Okay, you guys do your thing. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing any of your questions. So the modern guards thing, that's more of the, you know, superhero type stuff. The order, which is kind of cool, and we kind of went back and forth on that. But it was the battle between light and darkness, you know. And we thought about that, but we went with the event. And then the pros, operations and heist and things like that. So that's the series. And everybody gets together and go, okay, what do we want to do? What do we want our series to do? Go through all of those. Or maybe you might mix a little bit of this and mix it a little bit of here, but this gives you kind of like a base. Then it talks about your city and how the city itself, it talks about that. Is it true noir? Got that 1920s, 1930s, you know, fedora wearing, cigarette smoking, trench coat wearing type cats. You could do that. You could do neon noir, right? Which is kind of the same, except you've got it's a little bit in the future. You have the dreary present, and I think that's what we chose. I'm pretty sure we chose the dreary present. You can have a generic comic book metropolis, and again, that can go right in line with the masked vigilantes or modern gods theme. Or it can actually be an existing city. New York, Chicago, or maybe you just live in a big enough city and you want to run it through there. Okay, well then run it through there then. There you go. Or it could be a tapestry of realities that are kind of chunks, or one part is over here, that's part of something, and that's part of something, and all of that stuff just came together as an amalgam and became this place in the mist. Could do that. So you have your options there if you're going to be running this. Okay. So then it's your character creation or your creation of your riff. Now I'm going to try to just kind of summarize some of this stuff. Just because this is where it gets different. If you are thinking, and let me just say this, there are no numbers. You don't have stats. There's no such thing in City of Mist. So there are no stats, nothing to roll, none of that. Right here, it talks about words over numbers. And this is why this is an RPG Elite game. So if you're RPG Elite or RPG Elite-ish, this is going to be for you. For a lot of people, it's going to be retraining yourself and how you approach tabletop, most tabletop RPGs, because this is not the same as those. But let me go ahead and just read this paragraph for you guys real quick. It says, in City of Mist, characters, objects, places, and qualities are described only using words, not numbers. They're not quantified by numbers. That's what we normally see and what we do. Yes. Now, when you say Constantine, that this would be a good game for that. It would. It would be a really good game for that. But going back over this, it says, unlike many other role-playing games, most, there are no numerical values describing how fast or how strong or how charming your character is. Instead, you simply note the words, the qualities, and things you wish to have. So the game is based on descriptive phrases. That's how you make your character. We're going to look at a character here in a second. And I'll try to pull up one of our characters that we have and kind of walk you through it. But this is, you have these theme cards. You fill out the theme cards where you pick whatever your mythoi is. And you then pick your crew and whatever your crew is going to do. And your relationship with each other in the crew. And then you pick your mythos and your logos. We explain that in a second. Again, I'm going really fast here. And this is, you can't really see it. And so I'm not going to try to explain it. But this right here is a logos theme card. All right. But first you come up with whatever your character concept is and your mythos, and if you're going to have a mythos, who that is going to be, right? So I told you the three that we're working with the characters that we have. The one that they use here in the game, this guy has a mythos of Don Quixote. Now, there are 3 kinds of mythos or rifts. So you can either be touched, which means you have more logos than you have mythos, and I'll explain those in a second. Borderliners, which have the equal amount, and legendaries or legends or legendaries, which have more mythos than logos. And you can start off with 4 themes. So if you have 3 logos and 1 mythos, that means that you are touched. If you have 3 mythos and 1 logos, then that is legendary. And if you have 2 of each, that's what's called a borderliner. All right, let's keep moving. So you have different themes for both your logos or logos and your mythos or mythos. So I'm going to say os for both of these just to keep it consistent for the rest of this. So your mythos is adaptation, bastion, divination, expression, mobility, relic, and subversion. Your logos is your normal stuff, your skills, your talent. That's really how you should think of that. You should think of mythos as the extraordinary things that you can do, and your mythoi working through you to do extraordinary things. So that's what mythos is. So that's a basic way to break that down. Mythos, extraordinary, supernatural type stuff. Logos, your normal, high skill type of stuff. There you go. All right. So it has here mythos character tropes, right? So if you're going to be a creature of darkness here, it says use some expression. That's one of the mythos themes. Then you have subversion and you have bastion. And then it gives you, one underneath. So if you don't really know, because you could spend some time creating a character in this game. Especially if you have to kind of restructure how you think about creating characters because you're not used to things like that. You're not used to thinking in words or stuff like that. So these are all mythos tropes for like extraordinary type stuff. Or logos tropes, right? Homeless hobo, cat burglar, bounty hunter. There you go. And it just gives you a place to start. So if you're not good at that, you have some place and a foundation to start with these tropes here. Then you have your theme books. Okay, so let's skip over to that. And we're going to do one here. Okay, so let's skip to Bastion. I want to do Bastion. All right. So this is a theme book. And you have all those ones that I just said, Bastion, Divination, Relic, all the rest of that stuff. Those are theme books. Now, when you're doing themes, you have to, they will tell you at the bottom here in the player's book what these themes cover. So Bastion covers conjure an armor or shield, invulnerability, magical protection. So these are all defensive type stuff. An unbreakable body, will or soul, being untouchable by the law, immunity to various kinds of harm. So that's what this will cover. All right. Just saw something here. This part sounds a little like Cypher. You are a trope who does trope with trope. Kind of, but not so much. Not so much. Not exactly. Everybody's trying their best to try to connect this to another game. Not so much. I'll tell you why here in a second because we're getting ready to go through it. So Bastion here. Okay, well, first you come up with a concept. Every single theme book, there is one question that you absolutely have to answer, and everybody who chooses that theme book has to answer this question. All right? So the question for Bastion, for example, here is, how does your mythos protect its agenda? All right? Because Bastion is about protection, right? So it's got a couple of examples here. It says, it makes me impervious to fill in the blank. Or it allows me to ward off blank with blank. See, that's why it's not like Cypher system. It renders blank ineffective by blank. So there you go. And those are examples. You don't have to choose all of those. You can choose one of them, or you can come up with one on your own. So for those of you creatives out there, yeah, it's going to take you a while to make your character. But trust me, the character that you have is the character that you wanted. It really will be the character that you wanted. So you use these phrases, which are called power tags, and you put these phrases in your theme book. All right, well, I'll show you this in a second. But here underneath, you have power tag questions for Bastion. Now, this goes always for every single theme book. It goes from A to I, and it's a different question for each one. And then it gives examples under each one. So you can just kind of go and choose throughout those things just to make it simpler for you if you don't have something in mind. But if none of these work, then you can go ahead and make your own, right? But it has to answer one of these questions. So just going randomly here, let's go with C for Bastion. And it says, what particular trait of your defense makes it useful? But now it gives you all these different phrases for power tags. Impressive, or reflective surface, or both astral and physical, or unbreakable, or change skin texture and color, or absorbs life force, or whatever custom one that you can come up with. So that's the tag, and that's the tag that you're going to put underneath your Bastion, whatever it is that you choose. So that'll be one, answering question C. Now you have to answer that one question, so there's a mandatory question, but you have, I think it is 2 more that you have to answer. So there's 2 more that you have to answer, but you can pick which one of these questions that you want to answer. And then you can choose your power tag and put it underneath. And that's it. Now, once you've done that, you have to choose a weakness. So there's a weakness tag. There's always 4 questions that you need to answer. So for example, here, if we choose A, how do your defensive powers affect your appearance? There you go. So that's going to be bad when trying to convince people, or, looking crazy or weird or whatever. And so maybe you look monstrous, or corpse-like visage, or shining armor is easy to spot, or bronzen. So those are the kind of weaknesses that you can have for Bastion, and if you want to choose one of those, or maybe it makes you look like I have a character, I think it's Nathan Duval, that has, he's got like these dark veins that go throughout all his body, and it makes him look all blah. So that's one of the things. He made that up. All right, well then there's your weakness right there. All right, so and you go through whichever mythos that you want, and you craft it. You have to craft this. This is what's so cool about this. You're crafting this yourself. So again, creative types, y'all got to be creative on this. You got to use words. This is why this is an RPG Elite-ish type of game. It's more on the cinema type stuff, but more focused on, well, RPG Elite quality number 8. It's not about the system, it's about the story. And in this game, it is really about the story. It really is. So you have all of your mythos here, and these are the dark pages here that we have right here. These are all your mythos. So again, mythos is for all the extraordinary, supernatural, fantastical stuff that you may want your character to do. All right, so you choose from those theme books if you want to do that. Answer the questions that you want to answer and that you have to answer. Pick your weaknesses, and then you can move on to your logos or logos. And actually, this is the first one. Yep. So in the light pages here, you have your logos. And I think let me turn this a little bit here. There we go. So your logos, like I said, is your normal everyday stuff, right? It's your natural abilities. It's your skills. It's your talents. It's your run-of-the-mill everyday life type of stuff. All right, well, that's what this is. And so you pick from these theme books. So you have a defining event right here. Something happened in your life that changed you to the person that you are today. or defining relationship that you have, or it could be a mentor, it could be your mom, your dad, brother or sister, whatever, or you could be on a mission, or your personality, or you have some possessions. Maybe you're rich. This is how you get to be rich, if you want to be. Or maybe just routine, your everyday job, doing whatever you want to do or whatever. All right. Or maybe you're training. Maybe you do some mixed martial arts. Maybe you're a boxer. Maybe you're a runner. Maybe you're a swimmer, something like that. Right here. You can get how this stuff can translate over, right? So it's just taking and shifting and thinking about it differently when it comes to your tabletop RPG. Okay, I'm looking over at the chat now. So, if I'm reading this right, mythos can mean actually myth, all tall tales, exaggerated history, or even fiction. That really opens up the possible range of character concepts. Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, but they do not have to be fictional. Like I said, two of the people that our mythos comes from in the one that we're going to go to, they come from actually real people. Moses and Jack the Ripper. That's not a myth. These are people. These are for real, depending on what you think. But for those of us, a large number of people, those are real people. Achilles, well, that's a myth. And that's from Nathan. That's Nathan. He chose Achilles. So, okay, so that's a myth. But Moses and Jack the Ripper, not so much. Or maybe you can even use like Billy the Kid. Okay, these are real people you can use as a mythos. So it doesn't have to be fiction. Logos, knowledge, rationality versus mythos, spiritual truth. Not really. Not really. That's why I always say mythos is extraordinary, fantastical, supernatural type stuff. Logos, your everyday, natural skills, talents, that type of stuff, or your everyday life type of stuff. That's a better way to look at it. Because if you think of logos, and of course, yeah, that's Greek for the word, but that really is not what they actually are using it for. They're not using it in its actual definition. Mythos, they're not really using that for its straight definition either, because you can actually use real people for your mythos. Like I said, you can use Alexander the Great. You can use Nebuchadnezzar. You could use Cyrus of Persia, for crying out loud. I mean, these are all real people. You can use George Washington if that's what you really want to do. So you can use all of those for mythos. So yeah, the actual meaning of the words or the roots of the words that they're using here, it doesn't really translate strictly with how you actually play the game. All right. More like abstract mythos and concrete logos. That's probably more along the same lines. Yeah, well, kind of. And that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to help y'all out. Just go with what I got, right? Fantastical, exaggerated, supernatural type stuff, mythos. Natural, everyday, routine, skill, talents like stuff, logos. All right. Let's move through here. Now, this right here, just to give you an example, just so you guys can see it. So this is the character that they made with the guy that has the Don Quixote. He has his mythos is Don Quixote, all right? Okay. So on his theme cards here, he has 3. These colors here, these are logos. So he has 3 logos, and the purple is mythos. So he has 1 mythos. That means he would be touched. Remember when I was explaining the different types? So this Don Quixote guy is touched. If I read through this, okay, so he's imaginary knight. All this stuff, now you have to make up all this stuff here. Okay, so imaginary knight. The mystery, who is my Dulcinea? Is that somebody from Don Quixote? So I'm guessing that's from somebody from Don Quixote, from his background. Okay. He has 4 power tags under this, right? So let's go through them. And he was answering right next to the power tags right here. You put the letter of the question that you answered and the power tag related to it. All right. But he says, okay, so he has spectral armor, shield to match the spectral armor, the lance of honor, and in defense of love, whatever that means. Now, he has actually an extra power tag, but if you take extra power, you have to take an extra weakness along with that. So that's why he has 2 weaknesses underneath here. So here he has delusional, which is what most people thought Don Quixote was, or reality hurts. So this is kind of like the example that they're giving for the guy playing Don Quixote. All right, he's not playing Don Quixote, but Don Quixote is his mythos. Okay, next is your crew. So the crew is the people that you are playing with, but you guys have a special relationship and you have your own theme books in this. That's what's so cool. It is so cool. So this is your crew theme book. Just like normal in the other theme books, your mythos and your logos theme book, you have to answer certain questions that you have to answer for your crew. So everybody should be involved on this one. So when you guys are discussing your crew, and everybody should be involved, because just like when you're discussing your series and the city and all the rest of that stuff, everybody should be in on that. So this is so cool, dude. This is so cool. So you have to answer these questions over here. So these are your mandatories. And then over here, again, you have your questions for the crew, and you have to answer 2 of them. Here's some sample questions. How do you help, assist, or support one another? What special sources of information do you have? Now, for us, I forgot what we picked. But for us, a special source of information is my character. And if I can show you my character, you know why. He is, for the group, the information guy. Another question that you could answer. What kind of special gear, resource, or power is at your disposal as a result of being part of the group? So this is your crew. And again, everybody should be on making the crew. So they give you the examples of your crew in terms of what your series concept is going to be. You put that on your crew. So your crew theme is, if your crew theme is going to be casual detectives, right? Then you answer you answer your questions. You have to answer 3 questions, and it has to have 1 weakness tag for your crew too. So there's a weakness tags over here, just like any of the other theme books. So you have your casual detectives, company men. These are examples. You don't have to have these here. These are just examples. And just to give you an idea, okay, this is how we can construct our crew theme. But you have a theme. And then you have to figure out your relationships between, and here's a question for those of you who are listening. Who of you have been in games where you guys, because of your role playing, you guys can really play off of one another in character, no matter if your characters are opposed to one another? Because I know some people have a hard time, separating the real from the fiction, and sometimes that tension and those arguments that happen between characters are some of the best in role playing. But then some people, they don't know how to do that. Anybody in the house? Bueller? Let me know in the chat if you have had that. And if you haven't, you're missing out on something, and you need to find a group that's able to do that. I'm just saying. But you do figure out crew relationships, whether you can help or hurt them, like if you're a help to them or you're hurt. So you have basically a positive or a negative relationship with these people in your group. Right? And the book is just chock full of examples. There's a real long example at the end that you can walk through. But check this out. Here we go again with this kind of like a comic book cutscene here. And read these because they are related to as you're going from chapter to chapter. All right. Next one is Tags. This is so important to understand tags because you don't have numbers. You're not playing with numbers. There's no numbers. The only numbers that you're going to be playing with is with the system. The system is powered by the Apocalypse 2D6 system. That's it. And this is basically how it works, since I'm on that right now. It basically is like this. You have 8 moves that you can do as a player character. You figure out whatever you want to do, and then you figure out what move actually covers whatever you want to do. For every tag that is going to help you with that particular move, you add 1 to the die. And then after that, roll the dice, add your modifier, there you go. You're either going to get a strong hit or a weak hit or something, or you fail or something like that. That pretty much is it. So the math is real low. Real low. But because you're doing this in words and in phrases, you have a really good idea how all of this stuff will look, right? How many people out there, I don't know if you guys are still here with me, but how many of y'all, and just say something in the chat, how many of you out there describe what your character does, or are allowed to describe what your character does once you do something after you have rolled the dice? How I like to run my games is when the characters do something, you describe. Normally, right? Everybody's looking at the GM to do that. Not in my games. In my games, it's up to you. You did it. You let me know how that looks. If there's something that's in there that you can't do, or you go a little bit too, I just go, hey, well, that part can't happen, but the rest of it, we're good with. And that's it. Now, why do I do it like that? Because everybody needs to be a part of the story. And I have enough to do with, adjudicating and actual NPCs and really focusing on them. But medium level role playing, which is what we call it here in RPG Elite, rich descriptions, describing what you do and all the rest of that stuff, I leave that to the players as far as their character is concerned. Yeah, that's on you guys, especially if you do something. Now, if you fail, that's me. I'm going to tell you what happens if you fail. But if you succeed, you're in on that. You tell me how you want it to look. You're the one that did it. What does it look like? So everybody around the table can actually get in on the story. So it's not just all eyes focused on the GM and what they say. This is a great game for that. It's a great game for that. Let me know if you have that kind of freedom in your group. All right, so it has, like I said, 8 moves that you can do. And you just, like I said, choose what move, whatever it is, what you want to do. Choose the move that's relevant. The MC, they're called the Master of Ceremonies here, but it's the GM. They will tell you, okay, that is going to be applicable, or that's not going to be applicable. You can add in as many tags as you can try to get away with. So there is no upper limit here. So you can add as many tags that are relevant, right? So if it's just 1 that's relevant, it's 1. If there's 4 that's relevant, okay, there's 4, and you can add +4 to it. It just depends on the situation and what's going on. That's why it's so malleable, so fluid, and it just is so cool when it comes to that for the story. All right. So, and that's it. That's basically, you just kind of move on. But I discovered something in the Amazon video, and I want to go to it right now because I just think it's really, really cool. There are some other things too, a tracking card, but you have statuses and other things like that that'll take away or add to your role. So that's another thing. But anyway, I want to go to the end here because I got this buried at the end, which was so weird to me. I didn't understand it. And I just discovered it, like I said, in the last video. But here, you can have, these are these extra theme books. So an ally is basically a sidekick. That's so dope. So you can have a theme book for your sidekick, so you can make up your sidekick and who they are and all the rest of that stuff. That's cool. But the one that I thought was just off the chain for me, I really like this one, is base of operations. And we needed this when we were creating our crew, because we were like, okay, where are we going to, you know, where are we going to do all this stuff at? We're going to meet at a diner all the time or whatever. So we decided that since my character works at the university, is a professor at the university, we're like using this place that's not used, that nobody, you know, the campus has forgotten about. So we're using that place where now we can actually go through here and make that base of operations, which is so cool. And then the last one here at the end, another thing that I thought was really cool, is your ride. Do you got a van? Do you got a sports car? Do you have a limousine? Or maybe you got a helicopter or an airplane. Right here, baby. This is where you make it. This is the theme book for that. This is so cool. Okay. That was cool. And so now I'm looking forward to going through, and because we didn't figure out those things. We didn't know that there was a separate theme book for those things. So that's super dope. Super dope. All right. So it has at the back of the book all the moves that you can make here. So these are the 8 moves that you can make right here. It has some other things too here as far as explaining things like montage, which is downtime, flashback, or geeking out during the credits, that kind of thing. It also has, and I'm going to go here. Now this would be your character sheet. Now your character sheet has these like theme cards. And the first one you're doing right here, this is your crew card, because it has all these different like people up here. If you could see that. Not real sure if you can see that, but it has like people up here. This here is where you put this is your crew. You put the type and all the rest of this. And then it continues over here, and we'll go like this. These are your 4 themes for your character. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can get character sheets of this for free online. And then you just fill out all of this stuff here. And this mystery identity is kind of like, mystery is for your mythos and identity is for your logos, depending on how you're going to use these cards, which ones it is. So you fill these out all the way with all your power tags and weakness tags. And again, no numbers. And then all the rest of this stuff is for advancement. So when your character advances. And then the very last one is a long playthrough of, you know, a long example. I don't think I've read this yet. And I think I'm going to read it. But that gives you a long thing. And so if you decided you want to do this, skip to that real quick. You can kind of see how all of this stuff works. So go to the back, because it's the last thing in the back of the book here. And skip to that, read through the example, and then go back and start picking through and figuring out all the rest of the stuff. Again, it's different. It is much different. I don't know if what you expected with this, but it's much different than your other games. And I just love the fact that there's no numbers. I don't really have to be concerned with that. I just can be concerned with the narrative. And that puts me into the story. And it keeps me right there in the story all of the time. And that's the point. Because role-playing games are story games, for lack of a better term. That's why it thinks in, you know, scenes and cinema and things like that. Okay, so that is the player's book. And this is what you absolutely need to play the game, even if you're going to need this if you're running the game too. But they have another one. I opened this up in the last video. Here's another one right here. This is the Master of Ceremonies Toolkit, or the GM's Guide. So here, got your table of contents right there. And then it starts to, it's assuming that, you know, maybe this is your first tabletop RPG. Maybe you are brand new. Maybe you're going to be the one running the game. So it gets you into that. And one of the things that I always read these things because, again, RPG Elite Quality number 10, RPG Elites never believe they have arrived. We just know everything about tabletop RPGs. We can't get any better. That's not how we roll here. And so I read through these things. I read through their tips because you never know. You might get something that's like, hey, that's a good idea, man. Yeah, let's try to let's add that into our campaign next time. So I read through this stuff. And in this first part here, it talks about the story or the city. It really gives you background on your city, right? And so no matter if it's a real city or a made up city or whatever, it gives you background on that. And it starts going through the different areas of the city. So this section here is about downtown. So it has the alley and the financial district and the subway station. And so these are things now, and it also has locals or people of interest is really what those are. And this is all for downtown. Then it goes to the blue collar district, and then it does the same thing there. Then it goes to the old quarter. So all those different places that we talked about in the player's book, it just breaks it down and gives you more background, more lore on that stuff. And so you got and then there's other districts here, the ethnic borough, the beachfront. If you want to add these, you don't have to have all of these things. Or if you wanted to, add, like here, just out of town, suburbia, the cheap motel. That's technically still part of the city. Again, you don't leave the city. Then it has another one of these dope cutscenes. I got to read that. Again, I just opened this up, so I got to read that. I haven't even gone through this. This is writing a case. So a case is an adventure or a mission or a quest or however you want to say it. But I want to skip here because it'll give you some ideas on how to run a session. And I would read that again because you can always learn, man. You can always learn. Okay, it's writing a case. So it just tells you how to actually put one together. And you can, especially if this is the type of game that you're not usually used to, where it's mostly narrative focused and story driven. All right. You can design the series here. And then you have dangers. So here you like do different dangers, different rules. You even have custom moves that you can make. And maybe you can make that for particular characters. So dangers and statuses and things like that. That's kind of cool. And it had, like I said, I just went through, okay, here it is. Right here, it has kind of like your stock characters, right? Your city official, your helpless city resident, your mover and shaker. So you can use all of these if you need them for your campaign. So I really like that they have that in there. And look, no numbers. It's just narrative about the different characters. So dope. I love that. I just really do love that. Sorry. Then you have avatars. Avatars, I think, are villains. Major NPCs, basically. So here's one who looks like some kind of mob boss. Yep, he's a mob boss. See, and it says right here, right? So his name is Anatoly something. What is his name? Okay, Anatoly Vidales, I guess that's how you say it. He has custom moves. So you can make custom moves for your NPCs if you're going to be running the game. Here's Barton. Don't know who this is, but it looks like he's running a crew maybe. I don't know. Don't know these people. I have to read this. But these are the ones that come in the game. There's another one right here, Isabella Aguilar. All right. She looks interesting. I might want to look up. Okay. And there's another one. I think it's Alma Verde. Hold on a second. Nope. Oh, Kwaku. Wow. Okay. But at the very end, after this appendix right here, so after all of these, the backer pages and all the rest of that, then you have an actual adventure right here, Gambling with Death. So if you want to start off with something that's already pre-made and stuff, it's here. And they also have other stuff that you can go ahead and buy as well. That right there, baby. Gotta love it. All right, I got one more for you, fellas, or people. I don't know who's out there, so. This last one here is a GM screen. And I think these are supposed to be bad guys over here. It is, because there's Isabella. Okay, so these are the bad guys. Okay, so he's a bad guy. I didn't know that. All right. I saw him in the book, but I didn't know who he was. So these are bad guys, and so is she. Okay. All right. And these are, I guess, are supposed to be the good guys on this side. Yeah. Okay. But inside, this is a 3-panel GM screen. You have over here your player moves. You have the MC intrusions, which is very similar to the GM intrusions of the Cypher system and stuff like that. You have soft moves and hard moves. This is specifically for the GM. Statuses, you're going to be using a lot of those. Statuses are basically conditions, and they could be just about anything though. You know how you have certain stock statuses, okay? You can, but there's some that you can describe in a certain way. There's a certain status that you can describe, especially on the fly, and then give a number to. So that it's going to be a penalty, or sometimes, you know, a status is a bonus for whatever it is that you want to do. And then there's the narration part of it here. All matte finish. Sturdy, not bad. I like mine 4-panel. That's just me being old school, really. Just more information that I don't have to look up. So I could just keep things moving really fast. Because it's only like, okay, so what do you have here? You have 6 things. Really, I can think of a couple other things that I would like to have to show here. But that's me. But still, just having this already pre-done, ready to go, put the screen up and just go. Especially once you know the game, this will be probably all that you need, maybe. And that's it, folks. GM screen. So let's look at all of them. And let me put them all in. Make it look pretty for you guys. All right. All right, so let's do it like this. Okay, so you got the City of Mist Player's Book. You've got the MC Master of Ceremonies Toolkit. Right down here, you have the GM screen. And, you know, it's probably going to come in this box right here. The City of Mist core box. And I messed it up. I dropped it. So it's all bent up right there. Okay, well, it is what it is. Now, I do want to just kind of preface and kind of preview, I should say, not preface. I want to preview something. And if you want to be in on what we'll cover for the live streams, let me know. Because the only way that you're going to be in on voting for this is by becoming part of the Elite Squad. You can become part of the Elite Squad by hitting that link down in the description below. Right now, it's down there. And you can join the Elite Squad. And every month I come out with a poll that will allow you to vote. Now, this is brand new this year. So we just started doing live streams this year. And we've done, what, the Electric State, then we did Marvel, then we did Vassin, and then we did this. This is the 4th one. And so we've got another one made by the same people, Son of Oak Games. It is a cyberpunk fantasy game, and it is called Otherscape. This will be a separate video. Now, they're not voting for this month. This month, I forgot what it was. You guys are going to have to help me out. I forgot, but I know Blade Runner was one of them. Outgunned was one of them. And I forgot the other 2. So, at this point, I don't know what the other 2 is. But they're voting for that. And in the first week of the next month, I let people know, okay, you guys chose and you voted for it. So, if you join the Elite Squad and you don't get a Elite Squad email, because I normally come out twice a month and it still will allow you to do it, but you probably can't do it. You can join the Elite Squad now, but you're probably not going to be able to vote unless you actually ask me. If you send me an email and be like, yo, I want to get in on voting for the next live stream because of this, that, and third, can I see what the games are? And then I'll have to send you that. That's not a problem. I can do that. It's already done, and you'll be good to go. But Otherscape is going to be another game that in the future I'm going to add to the list of games that you can choose from when we're doing our poll for the Elite Squad. This thing is thick. There you go, y'all. It's got everything in here. It's the core book. On the other side, it shows you everything that it has. So look at all that stuff. So if we do Otherscape, which probably is going to be a couple of months here, because I've got different games for June, and maybe we might, I haven't opened this up. So when we do it, it's going to kind of be both a live stream and an unboxing at the same time. We're going to go through all of this together. So yes, I've got plenty of other games, and as I figure out live streaming, so we're not, so everything ain't going crazy all of the time. And I'm trying to do it to where we can multi-stream not only to Amazon Live, but to Rumble. I'm looking at going over to Rumble and live streaming over there as well. So what do you think about this game? As I was going through this game, it was before I started live streaming today. I was like, oh, let me go ahead and type, because I was looking at our characters and stuff, and it was just giving me the feeling. It's giving me the feeling like, oh shoot, we need to play this game, because the only thing that we've done, we only played a little bit, but because it took us a while to create our characters, because we're all RPG elites, so it took us a while to create our characters. It actually took them longer, but I had started my character, so I did have a head start on it. But we're going to, I wanted to play this. I was just like, oh, I need to play this. So is this the kind of game that you would play? I mean, you can still, I think you can comment on live stream videos. So go ahead and comment on that, on this video, whether or not you would, play City of Mist. I'm playing it. Again, we're going to do two. I'm going to create another character just so you guys can see this process, because it's going to be so different. It's very different. So just explaining it to you with a rapid fire kind of way here in a live stream, it's not going to kind of coalesce in your mind. So I'll go ahead and make two videos. We only got 2 more videos for this one. Sometime in the future, God willing, we'll make a character creation video, and we're going to have a small gameplay video with me and my fellas are going GM-less, no GM. All 3 of us are actual players, and we're going to be using a Mythic Game Master emulator. So you'll kind of be getting 2 things at once in that video. So that is going to do it for me, folks. Thank you so much for joining me. If you've joined me thus far, I really appreciate it. And yeah, I think I'm going to leave now. My body is like killing me right now. My whole body hurts. I didn't understand how much my body hurt yesterday. I bought a new storage shed. It's pretty big. I think it's 8 by 10, or yeah, I think it's 8 by 10. And I had to put up the walls and put up the ceiling and do all the, drilling and all the rest of that stuff. And I didn't realize how much that it hurt me until I woke up this morning. I was like, oh man, I got aches and pains all over the place, because it took us like 7 hours to put this thing up, and it looked like it was going to rain, and God was good to us. It didn't rain. So, I mean, it sprinkled a little bit. So great. We got it done in wonderful weather. And so I guess what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to relax a little bit, even though I'm probably going to cut my grass and whatever. I'm going to think about some tabletop RPGs as well. I'm probably going to be talking to my fellas and being like, yo, when can we hook up and do this stuff? Because I'm getting a little itchy here. we got to do this. And if you are going to, if you want to stay here, watch the rest of my videos and other things, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button and notification bell right now. right now. Do it so you won't miss any of my videos. I come out with videos every Tuesday, and sometimes like every last Saturday of the month, monthly live stream. Sometimes I come out with other videos and other days, but the only ones that are guaranteed are the monthly live stream, my Tuesday videos, and that's it. So that's all you got during the month, 5 videos. But if you don't have that notification bell, then you'll miss out on some of the other stuff that I may post too. So hit that. All right, that's going to be it, y'all. A brother has got to go. So peace. 5,000 leaks.